guaranteed his mid lane.
Oh no, BDD. Can he get away from this one? The answer is absolutely not. Starzan just gonna manner kick the Jarvan away. Nice little Hex Flash played there as Griffin come together for another kill onto BDD.
And the reason why I talk about Tarzan doing everything to guarantee that Urgot didn't lose the top lane CS wave and getting to mid lane means the super play is both on a micro and a macro level. Speaking of a macro super play.
He's back. He's going to have to flash that one. Lehens just gets another summoner off the map. We see those Alistairs in our solo queue that sometimes just give up on their lane and do this. Well, Lehens didn't have a very fun bottom lane, and he's doing fun stuff on the other lanes.
Oh, he has no idea Lehens is still here, of course, because he put through the queue. This is a second one, smart move from Smeb, who's always had a very good top lane.
He might have known because of the minions, not 100% sure.
But I'm struck by the fact that Lehens is having kind of a terrible series. And they're winning anyway.
The rest of the team is just carrying him so hard.
Lehens has basically been in the right spot but tripped like 8 times now. And still, his team is winning. So it's a pretty nice job to be Lehens today.
Sometimes you have a bad day, you know? It's just like that song.
But
thankfully, he's got a bunch of friends to help him out.
Could I have Chovy smurfing in the mid lane while I have my bad day, please?
Well, Flash comes in and Smeb doesn't have his, and so you just give away your life. Had it pushing into him as well. You did not have to be that close to the Urgot, but I suppose just greeting for the Klepto procs once again, and he's going to pay for it.
Griffin is playing so well this game on a micro level that the YouTube highlights will be obvious. But again, the macro stuff that I keep trying to get to of being there to make sure your Urgot doesn't fall criminally far behind the clock in terms of 10 CS a minute, and then being there as Chovy outplays and baits, that's where it's unfair. That's where they're doing everything right, and your KT Rolster saying, but we got good players, where did it all go wrong?
Well, I feel like one of the only interesting series we've had with Griffin so far, as this is going to be a lot of damage. MT getting out of that one, but Lehens is here. Doesn't have his Ignite, but does he have the damage? It looks like with Chovy, yes, he will. As a third one will go the way, but this time you get that combination from the bottom lane, and it looks like Chovy, unfortunately, will be going down once again. Rip KDA. As he does go down on that one, Lehens still going in, as he wants to force this fight, but not really much will happen. As actually the chains will land. Doesn't look like KT want to continue on this, as they saw the Urgot coming in as well. And that will be the end of that one.
Really impossible to bait for a flash exhaust Darius for long enough in the mid lane. They're always going to see his roam up, so unlikely to pull that one off is Lehens. We've never mentioned Darius because he's been chilling bot lane. He was holding a pretty big CS lead for a while, but we've of course seen the misadventures of Lehens on the top side, which meant Darius has lost out on some minions. Speaking of minions, the quest is not there yet for Smeb, so he is farming with penalty.
So Zenit fighting here because he does have the Gragas coming in. Exhaust is going to be used. He's going for the kill, but this time around, Snowflower is going to be there in time. No cask for Snowflower as well, which means that in the end, actually a winning trade here for the side of KT. Although, actually, at the end, both of them do use both of their summoners, so pretty even at the end.
It was really greedy by Viper to walk up there.
Yeah.
The flash was fine because he was trying to flash ult. It didn't happen. Here's the replay, and it's all about Chovy having already a Lost Chapter and Sorcerer's Shoes when he should only have one of those 2 items. That's why he does so much damage. Nice roam timing for Lehens. In the picture-in-picture, trying to see if we missed anything. No one's dead. We missed so many things yesterday.
I know.
Chovy finally dies to ruin his KDA. People around the world, happy or sad, depending on how you feel about Zoe. But just no way to bait for Darius, and the roam up was very opportunistic but unrealistic from Viper.
Lots of mid laners having their KDA ruined today as BDD. Rough game 1, rough start to game 2. Lots of deaths so far. And he was in 4th place in the KDA before this series, so it's always unfortunate when you do go up against Griffin.
Good news, penalty is removed from the cannon, so finally can start farming more normally.
Play some League of Legends, you mean?
He's been able to put the enemy top laner quite far behind the clock, so decent stuff, even if not fantastic. Chovy's getting turret plates in a tricky matchup for the Zoe, so nicely done from him. Omti trying to join topside. We know that Sword has no flash after the summoner spells have been mixed around.
Tarzan is on the top side of the map. Looks like he may want to help out in the mid lane as they're just bullying BDD at this point. Not going to try for a kill just yet. As well, I spoke too soon. It's Tarzan nearby. Not quite going to get that one super close, but BDD is able to dash away. But the rest of Griffin on in here. We got a one-on-one up on the top side. And uh-oh, Smeb. Looks like you went a little bit too close to the sun. Can that stopwatch stop the ultimate? It will, but it will not stop his death, as Sword will pick up a solo kill on the top side.
No escape plan for Smeb. Even his trusty cannon, by far his most successful pick in history before today. 27 games, 22-5, 82% win rate. This guy has created so many montages of teleport flanks. Seems like it might not matter today, getting solo killed in lane by Sword. Now let's talking about how Sword is the player who often is the one you can pick on the side of Griffin. That's what they went with the late cannon rotation here to change up the lane assignments, but unfortunately, nothing doing for Smeb this time. Kingen was the one there for that victory last time. Kingen might be out there next time as well.
Yeah, definitely some sad feels for KT fans, for longtime Smeb fans.
For LCK
like
fans,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Smeb is one of the most famous names in the history of Korean League of Legends, and just watch the timer here. The back time is actually fully taken by the Jarvan. And let's just see how this all started. Sword walks in, ghosts, and Smeb has no way to deal with it.
Yeah. Just gets too low on that one. Even blows his flash, too, to try to avoid the damage from the machine gun and the stopwatch.
Yeah.
But it's just not enough. It's an Urgot, for God's sake.
And
you're not going to get away from that one.
And the second part is even worse. Now he can't even team fight with a stopwatch until Zhonya's is done.
Yeah.
Lee Sin here for a counter gank. Don't really know why you would counter gank. I guess it could have just been a proactive gank, but with flash up on Sword, you're not going to try and go for a aggressive play on the Urgot. He is finally, with that kill, starting to approach the sort of gold totals you would expect around the 14-minute mark. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel for KT Rolster is a fair question to ask. They still have a lot of team fight wombo, but so far they haven't been choosing the right fights. Griffin have opened up a 2,500 gold lead, and if you get poked to death by Zoe, who already has plenty of items before the fight starts, maybe it doesn't matter about wombo combo.
Yeah. Well, trying to chase onto Lehens, who has been the one guy they've been trying to pick on the side of Griffin. At least he was able to blow some flashes, got a decent gank in the mid lane. Now they're trying to turn onto Viper here. There's the cast and the combo, but Lehens says no onto two guys behind them and gets that kill. Finally, Darius will go down to so much pressure from the side of KT, so much commitment. But two more kills do go the way of Griffin, as now Smeb going to be in a lot of trouble. Even Sword getting into the mix now as the kick does come in. Can they pick up any more kills on the bottom side? Doesn't quite look like it. Nearly able to get the ticking damage there on a Snowflower, but 3 for 1 will be the trade to the favor of Griffin.
They want the bot lane turret as well to continue to extend the gold efficiency of that trade. It's after 14 minutes, but no problem. They want the turret. They'll take it. BDD has stayed. You wouldn't have expected this. You would expect a reset. So BDD hoping for an exit kill, but none presenting from Griffin.
How about a turret? How about a Cloud Drake? And how about a very hefty gold lead here, 4,500 already at 16 minutes as Griffin once again popping off. We'll have that Mountain Drake for the next time as Chovy still having fun in the mid lane. 4-1 and 2.
Still only 17 years of age as well. Chovy turns 18 in March. Finally be legal to drink in many countries around the world. Might have to drink after a game like this. We're watching this one here as...
Love that play from my head.
It's a gold lead as well, right? This is where everything coalesces for the side of Griffin. Chovy chases, and for once, he doesn't hit everything on the chase onto Smeb to try to get this kill, but it's all about pressure. That was his real flash used on the chase. They eventually pick up the kill. They eventually take them down, but I feel like the damage has been done in the first game and a half rather than in that particular moment.
You can afford to make some small mistakes there towards the end of a winning team fight when you're already ahead in game number 2. As now, Viper is Darius. He returns the Darius to the top lane where he should be, as that's where Darius lives. But trying to turn the tables here is Viper tonight with the Darius in the bottom lane. Just attempting to get another turret in the top side. Won't be able to do that just yet, but have to imagine that will fall sometime soon.
Well, Hens is just having so much fun hex flashing and control ward rushes.
I mean...
He saves Gragas. Thank you very much, Lehens. Why don't we think
He's
of
definitely having a lot of fun, for sure.
Let's consider Lehens an honorary member of KT until he proves otherwise. Because so far, if you think about it...
KT's still losing 6v4. Somehow.
Somehow it's 1v12 for BDD, who isn't having the best series of his own.
Yeah.
I just feel like sometimes you use Occam's Razor and you got to call a spade and a KT player a KT player.
Well, I mean, he is 1-0-3, but he is playing like a KT player, we can say that.
Trying to get a bounty, you know? Got to get a bounty to pass one over.
He needs to farm more, you know? He could be 0-5 and just farm up a couple minions, and all of a sudden, 400 gold above your name. You never really know with this new system.
Well, Griffin shadowing their members here. Umti, remember, doesn't have a lot of experience because nothing much has gone the way of KT, so any sort of dive onto Chovy with Ignite up is a scary proposition. Watching the mid lane, seeing what it all means. The map state here is not desperately bad for KT, especially given the gold lead already pre-20 minutes for Griffin. But this is where things start to change. When the two-man invades come in, and even with level 2 slicing Maelstrom, Kennen is having nothing doing against Lee Sin and Urban.
This is so far behind too, 0-3. Obviously, his CS numbers are low because of the Frostmancy. Ooh, BDD even missing the cannon, but can't have it all. On some of these days, BDD's had to shoulder so much of the pressure on the KT lineup so far. In the games where they win and in the games where they lose. Sometimes you got to give them a break, so we'll see what happens in the rest of this game. Griffin very far ahead so far. As biggest loser in this one might just be Toby's KDA.
I think KT's hopes of making it to the playoffs is right up there with it.
Yeah.
Remember, we are, guys, if you're joining us late, this is, of course, LCK Summer Rematch. First time these two teams have played since that famous 5-game best-of-5. And while that was a turnaround on a 2-1 lead into a 3-2, feels weird to call 3-2 from 2-1 a reverse sweep, but, you know, basically a reverse sweep by KT Rolster. Only Smeb is still there from that particular day. Score not playing today in this game. And we talked about how the expectation for this series was KT's best hope is making us actually talk about that narrative and not talking about it as a false one. Snowflower almost loses his entire health bar, and here we go.
Looks like he might here as Tarzan. Well, those aren't the mechanics you were looking for, as maybe he will go down. No, Chovy gonna eventually save him, but he will eventually go down as Chovy looking for more kills on the backside. The rest of KT start the Yakety Sax as the rest of them are just on the opposite side. Nice try on that Trouble Bubble. Really looking for the angle as Chovy pulling out his protractor, getting the geometry going. Viper gonna pick up the kill as it's just a fiesta here as the game moves along as Griffin pick up 3 more kills.
Nice flank from Lehens as well, alley-ooping into the Darius for his dunk to take him down. The dunk mastering is being done on a team level. Viper actually has a Raptor Cloak, that's an item in his inventory here. Is Zerat Portal coming out, I wonder?
I mean, Griffin could probably build whatever item they want at this point, as Lehens is going to blow his flash. He's happy about that, though. He loves Hex Flash. He'll just use that for the rest of the game as BDD desperately trying to make a follow-up kill or damage or just some summoners on the Zoe happen, but it's not happening tonight.
Exactly. This is a very much 2019 normalcy rather than an extension of the past, and it's why I made that big effort to separate the importance of legacies and the history when it comes to what 2019 meta represents balance-wise, and also where the power rankings are. New Blood Rising, Griffin, the epitome of the New Blood. Second split, but looking like overwhelming favorites. We zoom out as Kennen's in trouble.
Oh boy, Smeb, look at Sword's health. He's not going to lose a single tick as down will go the Kennen. He's found again, and now it's Sword. 1v5, trying to get on in there. Zenit going to be left to the Wolves. On the backside, left to the Griffins, you can call them, as another kill goes their way. At least KT got a dream.
That's the best they could hope for. Game has gone to silly territory. It's 7,000 gold lead already. They're going to walk up to Baron, and good luck, KT, finding a way to stop them.
Yeah, well, you know, at least the 2 guys that went down are probably worth less gold than the full amount. 0-4 and 0-3 are the Kennen and the Yasuo. Now, Baron comes in here and BDD the most desperate LeBlanc of all time, as now Umti in a bit of trouble here. Wanted to go for the steal as See You Later going to be pulled in there by the Darius. As now they're just looking for more kills. The damage comes in, and Viper, he's just kill stealing at this point.
I mean, you'll take it if you're the Darius, what you're all about, and damn, was I a fan of the alley-oop. They was scooped 800 units there with the flip into the apprehend.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when the long arms, the law from Griffin come out? You are found guilty, and you go straight to the death chamber. They turn on a Baron, they'll get the purple worm, they'll get the 2-0, and Griffin is just another day on the Rift.
Another day at work, as nobody really can come close to this team outside of Sandbox, who is at least able to take one win in a game. But nobody has taken the series just yet. Griffin say hello and laugh at their chance of going for this streak.
Yeah, it's just not much to say, Valdez. It's just
no analysis on that one, Papa?
No, it's what we call a gold lead. Don't need anything else. You can watch it on the screen and see it.
It's all about money in this world.
The Hens plays this really well because he has a lot of options to choose a target, and he chooses the enemy smite. Enemy smite goes down, the apprehend amusing, the dunk there, frightening.
As Tarzan, what is going on with you tonight, man? He's just really having fun, and will he go down to the Ignite? The answer is absolutely no. The rest of Griffin just want to get the kills. Empty looking for the Lee Sin. Desperately, he wants to get a kill, but he will not be granted it, as he will go down now to Chovy. 3 more kills gifted to the side of Griffin, as KT have all but given up here. No real chance for them to pick up this win.
Almost found Smeb for another exit frag, and feels like frag's the right term to call it rather than kill, as the numbers are getting massive in this particular one. Bit of a fiesta here, but only on the side of KT. Controlled aggression from Griffin. This is what happens when they get going faster in the early game. They didn't even pick for the lanes, but things went their way. The inhibitor goes down, and we're just waiting on the win time from Griffin.
Griffin just so far ahead of pretty much any other team here in the LCK, and they prove it once again tonight. This Chovy, he's got 10 stacks on a Dark Seal. He's just having a ball. Just unhappy that he died the one time. Let's take a look at how Tarzan decides to go 1v3 this time.
Now, on paper, you look at this and say, why is Tarzan doing that? But Valdez, look back and remember, for sure before this game, he said, CV Max, mate, I'm telling you, I can play Lee Sin. So he's trying to show the Lee Sin mechanics, and that's why things are a little bit wonky, a little bit disconnected from the rest of the team. They clean up because the gold lead isn't even worth talking about. But, yeah, it seems like the claim for relevance on that Tarzan Lee Sin pick is what they're shooting for.
Yeah. Well, medallions built here for Chovy. Suppose that wasn't a surprise, especially he already has tons of damage, has a defensive item too. He's not going anywhere else in this game unless he ints a kill over to the side of KT. Doubt that will be happening. It's a lot of sad numbers on the side of KT, as once again it's just another scoreboard that tells a bit of the story of KT. It's BDD at 3-3, the rest of his team 0-6, 0-4, 0-3. Nothing really going here for KT so far in Spring. Griffin continue their victory landslide of LCK.
When we have top teams, we always want to say, circle that calendar. They're playing X team today. Who is that team for Griffin? Is it just Sandbox in the second round robin and no other team has come close? I'm excited about the Hanwha Life game just because they ran them so close first time out, but this is not Griffin versus KT, LCK Summer Rematch. It's Griffin versus a bottom 5 team. Nameplate's off for KT. Nameplate's definitely on for Griffin.
Well, just looking to end this game here. I'm sure they want to get some more kills, no doubt, as Umti, he flashes away, but he runs onto a trouble bubble as Smev, unfortunately, does 0 damage, and the rest of it is just going to go in the death chamber. Can they get all 5? The answer will be no for now, as they're looking for Snowflower. He's the only one to survive on the last fight of this one. A very sad and one-sided one here up against KT, but Griffin going to be happy to pick up yet another win here in the LCK Spring.
We say it for a reason, Valdez. Griffin enter every series they play expecting a 2-0 victory and being surprised by anything else. Surprised by Sandbox, wonderful performance by them last time out, but this is the normalcy that has reigned the LCK. They have dropped 1 game in 7 best-of-3s, and they seemed pretty annoyed by that fact.
CV Max getting in there, whispering the secrets of Griffin into Sword's ear, giving him the thumbs up there as well, saying he played it very well. He had a fantastic game up against the Kennen, made it look very easy up against that guy. Handshakes all around, as now Griffin are 7-0 in series, going in opposite parity to Jinair now, as nobody has been able to take a series from them. And I doubt that the last two teams left here in the first round of LCK Spring will be up to snuff.
They've got a Freaka Gen G, both of which looked pretty abysmal this week, so hard to see Griffin going anything other than 9-0, and all that trash talk about 18-0, remember that was done by the opponents. They were the ones saying, I think they could go 18-0 based on scrim results. Sometimes scrim results you throw over your shoulder like salt and say, don't know about that. With this particular one, it's looking increasingly likely. No sighting of Score today. He was the story last time KT Rolster played Griffin. The story today is the winds of change in the LCK. They're breezy, Valdez. They're really breezy. KT Rolster is a proud org, but they are so far away from where Griffin is right now, it feels rude to talk about.
Yeah, and Riot Korea not holding back either. The full zoom onto Smeb. We talked about the sad feels for longtime LCK fans, longtime KT fans. He comes back into the lineup and just kind of drops the ball once again, especially in game number 2, not able to make his signature Kennen work. In yet another game, his Rumble didn't work, his Kennen did not work. And what is working on the side of KT? It's really only BDD once again, and even he, up against Griffin tonight, couldn't have too much of a game either.
But it's a punishing season to fans, Valdez. If you're a long-term fan, you have to feel feels when you see one of the greatest superstars of Korean League of Legends close to tears, not knowing what to do. He looked so far off the pace against Sword, the one player people fancy when it comes to a lane matchup against Griffin. And what a punishing year it is to the people who stuck around and seen some of these personalities grow. Some of them are gone. Gone is Prey, gone is Bang. Some of them are suffering. Score wasn't even playing in this series, and we don't know exactly why that is, but you know, as a big fan of players like Smeb in the past and the history of this league, you got to say the people that showed up and like, I like this Griffin team, they'll be my favorites, are feeling a lot happier right now than the people who have seen the genesis of the stars, because every time we reference stars this season, we're talking about those stars going one way, and that's straight down.
Yeah, and it happened so fast too. I mean, it was happening a bit in the end of summer, right? SKT didn't have the best performances there. They changed their lineup. Now they're looking a bit better. But they're really the only team out of those, you know, those big stars that are left over. And now it's all about the new bloods, as we're talking about. It's Griffin, it's Sandbox, Hanwha Life, and King Zone now, trying to make things happen, as this is a highlight you want to watch over and over again, as Chovy goes 1v2 essentially. Gets the 1v2 kill up against BDD, has the fancy footwork up against MT, baits him into it, and then doesn't even need Tarzan to pick up this second kill.
The adage of chess versus checkers is overused, but that was some chess play in the mid lane by BDD, and checkers wasn't enough. Smeb, even on his career lucky charm, he's most famous for the Rumble, but his win rate and his plaudits have been there for the Kennen. Feels like a long way away from that amazing engage for the Rocks Tigers against EDG back at 2016 Worlds. 3 years later, nothing's working for Smeb, nothing's working for KT Rolster. Some nice barrels, you know that highlight's going to be in their pre-match role later in the week, but otherwise you're going to have to cut it short. It's all about Griffin in game number 2.
Take a look at more of Chovy being insanely fed and doing a lot of damage. Tarzan, as you mentioned, trying to show off here on the Lee Sin. First time he's played it since 2017. He's a 17-year-old rookie, as, you know, he was going a little bit too hard, but it looks like the mechanics are there at least. We were talking about it on his stream. He is extremely clean on the Lee Sin. Wouldn't mind seeing it once again, maybe in a real game the next time around.
Not too many real games when Griffin plays, so you definitely can try some stuff out. We had Orin, we had Elise support, we had Lehens playing for KT for half a game. It didn't matter. Yeah. Everything was fine, and we just closed it out here at the final moments of the game. Very one-sided. Credit to KT. Stood up pretty well in game number 1. We thought the draft from Griffin was a bit bold. Game number 2, a different proposition. This the Griffin that people talk about in hushed tones around the world. Already start thinking about things like MSI when you see games like this.
Well, you'd have to imagine they are the absolute favorites to go over to MSI here, but yeah, it's a lot of damage there on the side of Chovy and nothing much doing on the side of KT. It's kind of what we were saying at the end of game 1, where looks a little bit close between a better team and a not as good team in game 1, but then generally, if the better team wins, game 2 is even more one-sided, and that's exactly what we got here for game number 2. It was a one-way street for the gold graph. Griffin pick up another win.
Always have your fun with the KT Rolster name, the roller coaster, but
not much of a roller coaster.
It's a sheer drop, right?
Really,
that's the season, right? Usually the KT fans know that disappointment and excitement will always follow each other.
Yeah.
It just feels like disappointment. It just feels like a one-way trip, and we don't know how far down these trips goes. It kind of feels like Sandbox are already almost mathematically eliminated from relegations. They would have been the favorites preseason. Someone has to join Jin Air. And you look at the teams and you say, the 3 favorites, Gen G, Afrika, KT Rolster.
Yeah.
What are those 3 teams?
Yeah.
The 3 teams that went to Worlds last year. It seems like
Tells
almost guaranteed one of them's going to relegation.
Yeah. We had an idea about Jin Air, that they weren't going to be doing very well here in 2019, but we didn't quite expect these 3 other teams to be doing this poorly. But the results speak for themselves. I mean, KT lost to Gen G. They went against Afrika, but Afrika's, you know, they're playing support Jarvan. Is that really League of Legends at this point? As, yeah, Chovy picks up 2 MVPs tonight. That makes a lot of sense. Can't really argue with this replay.
Unbelievable play here. You win the MVP for plays like this. Beautiful stuff from him, looking for a season MVP, but having a lot of allies stealing votes from him. So, because of how the votes work in Korea, he actually does have some things working against him, but good news, a lot of game wins to potentially win that MVP in. Tarzan misses the cube, but gets to watch Jarvan just die to Zoe. Probably pretty good kill distribution if you think about it. Lee Sin doesn't need that one. He'll call it calculated. I'll call that one a whoopsie. But you're allowed little whoopsies if you're Griffin. Nice performance from them, and now that all that's left is to talk to the players and then to queue up the standard hour-plus break for Griffin.
It's going to be a long one, guys, but first we are going to talk to Chovy, who did pick up 2 MVPs. Always a very cute kid to talk to in the MVP, so excited to see what he has to say about this one. I'm going to hand it over to Ji-Sung for the translation. Take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. Today we're going to be by Chovy from Griffin. We're going to be having a solo interview with him. Congratulations on your win and MVP. You're the solo MVP today. So you're on tie with Cleed for the first place. How do you feel? I'm really happy that I participated a lot to today's victory. So, well, actually, KT Rolster was the one to stop your winning streak. So, did that fact kind of distract you a little bit? I don't really pay attention a lot to my opponent. Rather, I just pay attention to my own play. So that actually did not distract me. What about other teammates? We all just don't care about that too much. Then let's talk about game 1. Well, a lot of people has been calling that Victor is more like a trap card because it has a very low win rate. Victor looked strong to me, so I tried it at solo queue. I thought it's kind of good, and it is actually easy to get laning priority against Zoe, so that was why. Then what's the biggest strength of Victor? Well, if there's any special ganks, it is easy for me to kind of push the opponent out of the lane. Then you guys also tried the Frostmancy Ezreal on bot lane. What kind of strategy was that?
바텀 듀오들끼리
Well, bot
좋은
duos,
킬을 차단해서 갖고 와서 쓰는 편인데
they always come with some new ideas and good
일단
picks.
좋으니까 쓴 것 같은데
So I guess,
말려서 잘 못 보여준 것 같고
well, that was one of the good picks, but
다음에는
actually they
더
weren't
잘
able to
같더라고.
pull that off. So
네.
maybe they can show some better results next time.
1세트 초반에 좀 좋지 않은 상황이었습니다. 그때
So as you
미드에서
mentioned,
어떻게 풀어야겠다고
they actually had some
생각하셨어요?
hard times in the early game. So what did you have in mind to kind of solve the
이
problem
W 별풍선이
as a mid
잘
laner?
뜨길래 라인전 좀
Well, I was
만들고
able to
있고
pick up some great spells with my W,
미드에서 살길래
but the Gragas was
어,
kind of
살다가
camping too much in the mid lane, so I was
선수가
trying to go a little bit defensively.
리신 궁극기를 빼주길래 한번 나가도 되겠다 하고 나갔더니
And then
그
Tarzan
이후로는
was able to
상황 따라서 잘
make
대처한 것 같아요.
Umti to use his ultimate, so I was able to freely move around the map, so it was easy for me to kind of turn the game around. And I want to mention here that Tarzan made a gank in the top lane, and they actually made KT Rolster to waste their Herald.
탑갱 간지 기억이 없어서
I don't remember his gank in the top lane, so I don't know whose call was that.
그라가스 갱 피하느라 지금
I was
하루 종일 신경
so
쓰고
caught up with avoiding Gragas gank in the mid lane, so I can't really remember.
좋아할 것 같아요. 자, 2세트 얘기해 보겠습니다.
Then let's move on to game two.
엄청난 장면이 나왔었죠.
There were a lot of
미드에서
highlights,
2대1로
but especially in the mid lane,
지금부터
you were
함께
playing
보시겠습니다.
2v1, taking down all the players.
자, 이때 상황 설명 좀 해주세요.
So what was going on over there?
진주한 하려는데 갑자기 훅 들어오길래
I was also trying to
이거
do some
자르반이
damage,
풀 써서
but
띄워주면 죽겠다 싶어서 풀 썼는데 타이밍
I
맞게
actually thought that if
누구랑
Servants
같이
make an
쓰는 것
EQ
같아서
flash on me, I was close to dying, but
그 이때 좀
I was lucky to
위험했거든요.
dodge that and finish
근데
him
이거
as well.
또 살 수 있을 것 같아서 한번 해봤어요.
야, 어떻게 이렇게
But I did feel like if
예상한 대로
I
될까요?
could, I might be able to pull that off, so I was lucky maybe.
그냥 스킬을 잘 피한 것 같기도 하고.
Maybe I just
정말
sidestepped a little bit
무기의
well.
자, 그리고 2세트 하나 여쭤보고 싶은 게 바이퍼 선수의
We have another
다이어스가
question
등장을
here.
했어요.
Viper
어,
went with
상대
Darius
필드에
in the
대한
bot
어떤
lane.
그런 전략으로
What kind of
선택을
strategy
한
was
건가요?
that?
야수가 나왔거든요.
Because then it kind of insisted on Yasuo.
주도권을 잡아오려고
We wanted to
본인이
get some
다이어스
laning
하겠다고
priority against Yasuo, so
강하게 내세웠어요.
Viper is the one who's asked for the
개인적으로는
bot
어떻게
Darius.
생각하세요? 다리우스 대 야수.
How do you? What are your thoughts about the Darius versus Yasuo matchup?
다리우스가 CS 많이 앞서길래 유리한
Well,
거다
during my
생각하고
laning phase,
있었는데
I went to the Viper's stats and he had a lot of CS advance, so yeah, I thought he was doing well. So we want to talk about your KDA over here. What is your goal to end your spring split in terms of KDA?
KDA 달성하고 싶은 것보다 게임 이기는
Well, I don't really pay attention to KDAs. I just want victories.
게임 이기기만 하면 돼서
네.
따로 목적은
No matter how low my KDA
그래서
is,
그리핀 선수들이 다
if you
KDA
just win the
달성하고
games,
있단 말이에요.
it doesn't really matter to
그걸
me.
좀 지키고 싶다 이런 생각은 안 하실까요?
Don't you really feel like you want to secure your high KDA?
선수들도 다른 선수들도 본인 KDA에 관심 없는 것 같아요.
Well, all the other players are also
초비 선수만 관심
not
없는 거
interested in
아니에요?
KDAs in Griffin.
그럴
Is that
수도
only
있고.
you or other players too?
알겠습니다.
Maybe
자,
just me,
인터뷰
I don't know.
마무리하기 전에요. 초비 선수의 아칼리 너프되면서 정말
So
슬퍼요.
the last question would be Akali. It got a huge nerf.
일단 아예 못 쓰게 만들어 놓은 것 같고
It's really hard to play currently.
그냥 아칼리 하지 마라 이 생각으로
I think
패치한
they're
것
just
같아요.
telling us don't play
정말
Akali
이
in professional
악물고
games.
말하셨습니다. 아까 1, 2세트 사이에 물 마시다가 물 흘리는 장면 나간 거 알고 계세요?
And Jovi, we
네.
we caught you on camera that
평소에
you
조금 흘리시는 편인가요?
while you were drinking water.
초반 라인전 졌다는 게 좀
Well, I was a little bit
아쉬워서
mad that I lost in
몸이
the
굳은 것 같아요.
laning phase. So
눈물이 아니라 입으로 물.
was that a tear coming out your mouth?
알겠습니다. 자, 초비 선수 얘기 정말
Maybe.
잘 들어봤고요. 이제 1라운드
So
얼마 남지 않았습니다. 각오 한 말씀.
first round robin is about to end.
생각이에요?
Is there any last message?
항상 저희가 경기력이
Our performance?
실수 없이 할 수 있도록 그런 플레이를 할 수 있도록
Well, our goal
저는
about
계속
our performance
남은
is
경기 잘
to
마무리하고 싶어요.
make a game without any
네,
mistakes.
초비
So I
선수
want to
오늘
keep
정말
that and always
감사드리고요.
want to
앞으로도
execute that in
계속
every games.
응원하겠습니다. 저 인터뷰 여기서 마칠게요.
So this will be
여러분
the end of the interview
감사합니다.
with Chovy from Griffin. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-san, as always, for the wonderful translation. I love that they still have the hearts on the mics, as it is Valentine's week, I suppose, here at the LCK. Nothing but love for Tovi. I saw that Mina Kim was definitely enjoying that. The cute Tovi interviews are always fun to watch, but he's like, yeah, I just, I saw the kill, I went for it, simple as that. As it's hard to explain how good really Tovi is, and it seems like even he can't do it himself.
It's hard to hype opponents against Griffin as well, with how good Griffin is. It's tricky, Valdez. I find it hard because I think teams have to earn the right to be hyped when it comes to Griffin. Usually we don't have a team like this. Kingzone was similar a year ago. Again, we refer to SKT 2015 summer. And that was my first season casting at LCK. So this is the most recent. That was my first season. And I remember the struggle of just trying to dive into the stats or look into the smoke signals. How can I say this team has a chance against an all-conquering 17-1 SKT? And often they didn't. And even though KT Rolster had that beautiful story of never being beaten by Griffin, you just knew it didn't matter. This is the year where nothing matters about the past. KT, Genji, and Afrika are the closest to relegations next to Jin Air. They represented Korea on the world stage as the 3 best teams. Times change fast, but hopefully the next hour will pass fast so we can cast again.
Yeah, so guys, we are going to take that 1 hour break. Does say a lot about Korea, as Korea is changing so much nowadays. Griffin and Sandbox on top. We'll have to wait. But guys, we'll be back in about an hour for Hanwha Life versus Kingzone. Should be actually a very close series, so we'll see you then.